If you are not a senator, please sit in the back 2 rows. If you are a senator, please do not sit in the back 2 rows. Thank you.
Provost Arnett, you are welcome to sit in the front row if you would like, since you're reporting. Okay. Wow, definitely we don't have a lot to vote on. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the USC Columbia Faculty Senate to order. The minutes from the February 7th meeting are posted to the Senate website. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, the minutes are approved. At this time, I would like to invite Provost Arnett to the podium to present a report.
Thank you, Dr. Alton. It's wonderful to be back here with the Faculty Senate. I missed the last meeting. I was at the SEC Provost meeting, a required meeting for Provost, and was very sorry to miss. So I'm happy to report today that we have received an amazing number of applications and submissions, nominations for our various teaching awards, research awards, service awards, so many that it was a very difficult decision process this year. We have amazing excellence throughout this campus, and I just want to acknowledge that to the faculty here. They were especially difficult decisions this year. We're not yet releasing the names, but the winners really inspired us all. And I just wanted to thank you for all of the work that you do as the faculty of this great university. The president is off to the SEC Athletic Championships for basketball, and so he is not here today. But on his behalf, I did want to let you know that there has been a new important addition to his cabinet, which is the new Vice President of IT. Dr. Bryce Bible came to us from the University of Buffalo, where he was the sitting CIO there. They're an AAU school, and really he's just a terrific addition. And I know IT has been an issue of concern for many of us across campus, and he will be addressing those issues. And he's got all of the research experience and boots on the ground experience in IT to really help us formulate a great IT infrastructure and vision for the campus. He met this morning with our Dean's Council and got lots of good feedback from your deans, so he will definitely hit the ground running. He just started on March 1st. I'm also working to complete my own internal office structure. I'm happy to announce that Dr. Sam Todd has accepted the position of Vice Provost and Assistant Vice President for Global Affairs. He'll be in that role for 2 years as an interim, but we really are committed to raising our global profile. We really want to enhance and balance our global student exchanges and strengthen our partnerships with Global Carolina and our campus faculty. I wanted to also bring you up to date on our biweekly check-ins. I know some of you have reported back to me that you don't always get updates from the biweekly check-ins, but we do have minutes for all of those that are posted on our website. So let me just give you a run through of what we've done in the past 2 months and what's coming. So on January 29th, we talked about educational program assessment. This is a really critical part of our accreditation process with our head of accreditation from OIRA, Dr. Latrice Smalls. On February 12th, we talked about our advising updates with Claire Robinson, who directs our academic advising centrally. On February 26th, Marianne Fitzpatrick reported on a new guideline that we developed that looks at we'll call it bullying of faculty. It's more comprehensive than that, but what to do if you on social media are harassed is a very specific term I'm not supposed to use, but you know what I mean. When you're targeted on social media, what do you do? So that reference is also on our website. I encourage you to go out and look for it. If you or any of your colleagues experience any kind of harassment or upsetness on social media. We also talked about Circle In last week, and I want to give you some input about what Circle is in a moment. But my next Monday, not this one, but the week after, we're going to be talking about how to deal with angry parents. So y'all may have an interest in that one. If you do, contact your chair, contact my office, and we'll get you on our distribution list for our check-ins. They're 15 minutes long. They start at 8:15. We get done by 8:30. They're really to provide you critical information in a very succinct way. And we want to build community. We want you to know what's going on with the provost's office because we're all on the same team. So Circle In, what is it? So we reported this at the provost retreat this past January. So this is an app. We've only used it in 2 different classes, math, calculus, basically, and accounting, the accounting course. The goal of me utilizing this tool, and it's an NSF-sponsored tool working with this company, is that we really want to, one of my biggest goals is to increase our 4-year graduation rate so that students get out in 4 years, they don't incur more debt, they lose their access to scholarships after 4 years. So there's a lot of reasons for us to want to get our 4-year graduation rate up. One of the challenges are courses that have a high DF or withdrawal rate. And so this tool called Circle In is an app that allows students to create study groups, to share flashcards, to ask anonymous questions, to ask non-anonymous questions on their homework. And the best thing is, from a faculty's perspective, is it lets the faculty be able to see what are the questions that are coming up, how do I need to adapt my teaching in the next week to address the questions that seem to be percolating to the top. But the really great news is in our courses this past year, so we used it in calculus and in accounting, our pass rate went up by a statistically significant 8%. So that's really a phenomenal success rate. So we're hoping and looking forward to trying to implement this in more courses where we have higher DFW rates. And in fact, this year we added organic chemistry. So we're continuing our evaluation. I'm a scientist, and Laura is evaluating this. Laura Lamika Anderson, our vice provost for undergraduate studies, who's doing a phenomenal job. We're requiring an analysis to make sure that this is statistically significant and beneficial to our students before we think about expanding it further. So I just wanted to finish off with a last thing that is going exceptionally well, and that's our 4-year advising model. So again, this feeds into my goal, our university's goal for improving our 4-year graduation rate. So as of spring 24, we've now implemented 4-year advising in 72% of our students. our advisor turnover has greatly reduced over the last 4 years, and the advising for this model is still embedded in the colleges. So we think it brings a great advantage to our students and to our advisors for 2 reasons. The students get to know their advisors and stay with them for 4 years, so they build a relationship. So it's not just about advising a freshman and then shipping them off to a college and then advising them in the college. You get that continuity. The advisors get to know the student, can do career advice as well. For the advisor, it's much more rewarding, to see a student grow up over those 4 years and leave the university and go on to their career. So that sums up what we're doing a lot in my office, but that sums up the things that I've talked to you about before, I wanted to follow up on, and I'm happy to entertain any questions you have on these topics or others.
Tavakkoli with College of Nursing. Can you hear me? Okay. Yes, thank you for information. I have one question regarding, we had changes in terms of our admission for undergraduate. If you have any data in accepting, top 8% automatically compared to last year, how we doing in terms of getting those students, accepting our admission and paying the deposit? Do you have any information regarding that? Because we changed that to get our top student in the state here. So I was wondering.
So let me give you, for those of you who may not know about these programs, there are 2 separate programs. The first one is the top 10% program. So we are now accepting students from any high school in the state of South Carolina who are in the top 10% of their class if they've completed all the necessary requirements that are required for coming to the University of South Carolina. We also coupled that a couple of months later with another program called USC Commitment. And that program is for those top 10% of students from the state of South Carolina. The president is adding the last dollar after all of their other scholarship programs to make tuition and fees free for those students. So that's called USC Commitment. We saw a large, about 20% increase in the number of applications overall. So overall, I think we're close to 55,000 applications, give or take 1,000. Last year we were at between 46 and 47,000. So we've seen a big increase. Now, whether or not it's due to the 10%, I can't say yet. Scott Versailles, our Director of Enrollment Management, will be looking once we get through all of the who accepts, et cetera. We're going to look to see how much it changed in our rural parts of our state, where we had this not very many applications coming. So we hope to see an increase in that. But I can say our applications are up.
Hi, Mark Minette, Faculty Center in English. Thanks for your time today. I was wondering if your office keeps any records of the time in which students engage in paid work outside of the classroom. You know what I mean? Like, how much time they're spending in their jobs? Because I'm seeing that in feedback in my classes from students, it seems like they're spending more and more time working to help pay for their college education and less time on their college education. And I was just wondering if if the university systematically collects data around that.
So thank you for that question. Only for international students that we employ. There is not yet a systematic way that we collect that. That would be done under the Office of Student Affairs. So I will talk to VP Tolliver to see if there's any way we could be tracking that. I know it's a real concern for our Pell eligible and lower income students.
Yeah.
And it hurts success rates.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I love having questions. Thank you. Unless they're really hard ones. If you've got a really hard one, I may not love you.
Well, we'll see. Josh Cooper, Senator in Math. So that 8% that you mentioned, the calculus grades going up, who's the control group that's being compared to?
Great question. We had intended to randomize the sections to circle in or not circle in, but we didn't have enough to do a real randomization. So we had a natural experiment, and Laura can give specifics on the number of sections, but we had probably half of the sections where there was very low utilization. And so this statistical increase is in comparison of those who had low utilization to moderate to high utilization of the app.
From the same instructor, or we're talking about?
No, they're different instructors.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, different sections. Yeah, I'd love to get all instructors in math and accounting to use this because, you know, an 8% increase is a huge benefit to our students. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Provost Arnett. Good to hear from you again. We'll move on now to item 4, which is reports of the faculty committees. And at this time, I'd like to chair or chairs of courses and curricula to give their report, please.
Hello, everyone. My name's Sharon Gamina. I'm from the College of Engineering and Computing, and I'm co-chair of the CNC committee. The Committee on Curriculum and Courses brings forth 9 proposals. 1 is from the College of Arts and Sciences, 2 from the College of Hospitality, Retail, and Sport Management, 3 from the College of Engineering and Computing, 1 from the College of Information and Communications, 1 from the School of Music, and 1 from the Darla Moore School of Business.
Since this is a motion from committee, it does not need a second. Is there any discussion on any of the report from courses and curricula, I guess? Okay. All those in favor of approving these programs, say aye. All opposed? Okay, passes. Thank you. Okay, on the agenda, I did have faculty advisory committee listed. However, I'm revising that slightly. The item that FAC was going to bring before us is actually been handed off to the steering committee. And so I'm going to present the steering committee report on that item right now. So the steering committee and FAC have looked at adjusting the schedule of meetings for the faculty senate. And there's going to be, we're basically giving this information, this for report for information. We'll actually have full motion, discussion, and vote on this in April because it does require changing both our bylaws and our standing rules, which are found in the appendices of the faculty manual. The changes are, I'll just briefly summarize here, and we will have the actual wording with a side-by-side showing what's changing from the current versions. We'll have that up hopefully within the next few days or a week, so you'll have plenty of time before the April meeting to look at it. But just to summarize the changes, we'd like to change the wording such that that the Senate will meet from September to May. Okay, this the result of this is that basically we will add a meeting in January. It won't be the first Wednesday in January, believe me, but we'll add a meeting in January. We'll also add a meeting in May. However, we will eliminate the June sort of summer meeting that we currently have on the schedule. Okay, we will not have a meeting in August for the full Senate, although we will have a requirement that we have an orientation and training session for new senators in August. Okay, so the August meeting time will stay the same as it is this year. And again, this would require faculty manual changes, so it would not go into effect until next academic year. So that's sort of the summary of what we're proposing to change. Bill, have I forgotten anything? Where's FAC chair? Yes. Oh, I think that's it. That covers it, right? And again, we'll have the precise language on the Senate website quite far in advance of the April meeting. Yeah, and so the reasoning behind these changes, just to briefly explain, The June meeting has always been problematic because it has very low attendance, often hard to get a quorum for any kind of business. And then also it's somewhat onerous to ask faculty who are on 9-month appointments to show up for a meeting in June when their appointment ends May 15th. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. Now, nothing in this language prohibits the Senate from calling a special called meeting if we need to meet in June for some reason. So I want to reassure senators that we're not taking away a chance to get together if we do have something substantive to deal with in June, but this would just remove the requirement to have that meeting every year. Bill, have I missed anything else for justification? Okay. Again, this is just for information. We'll have the full discussion and vote at the April meeting. That is it for the reports from faculty committees. Moving on to old business, and let me put up a slide 1 second. Okay, so for old business, today we're going to complete the nomination window for chair-elect of the Faculty Senate. So this person would basically assume chair-elect position in August of 24. They would then become the chair of the Faculty Senate in August of 25 when my term ends. And so that's what this is for. So the nominations for this opened as the faculty manual requires, I think back in February, if I'm not mistaken. Today, the nominations will close, and in April, we will have the ballot. And at that time, I'll ask all folks who've been nominated to come forward, give a very brief statement to the Senate, and we'll also have a ballot with a short biography of each candidate as well for that meeting. Are there any, but just to point out, currently we have 2 nominees for the chair-elect position. We have Liam Hine from College of Nursing and Susan Bond from College of Education. Are there any further nominations at this time? No, okay. Sorry for a second. I thought someone was going to rush in from the back there and say, me, I want to go. Okay. So with that, I'll just point out at the close of at the adjournment of today's meeting, this will be our slate of nominees for that position that we'll vote on in April. Also, this is actually new business, but I'll just point out we do have 1 committee vacancy to fill for the remainder of the spring term on the faculty budget committee. So this person, we don't necessarily need to vote on this unless someone else wants to nominate someone else for this vacancy, in which case then we will have a vote. If there are no further nominees, then Matt Brown will assume that they fill that vacancy for the remainder of the spring term for that committee. Does anyone want to nominate anyone for that vacancy at this time? Okay, great. All right, and so now we'll move on to new business. One moment. Okay, so this document, which I'll adjust the size in just a moment to show all the names, but this document's also available on the Senate website. This is the ballot of, or slate, I should say, of nominees to fill vacancies on standing committees of the faculty that will naturally open up due to terms ending in spring of 2024. For those of you that don't know how we arrive at this ballot, I thought I would make it clear just so everyone sort of understands this very transparent process. It is spelled out in the faculty manual, but just to explain it, we basically send out a committee interest survey to all faculty in usually late winter or early spring. Once the survey responses come back, we basically ask faculty on that survey to rank all of their interests in various standing committees. And to submit those responses. Once we get that series of survey responses back, the steering committee of the Faculty Senate meets we go through all of the spreadsheet of many, many responses, and we come up with recommendations for nominees based on their interest, based on the needs of the committee. And some committees do have very specific needs in terms of rank and subject matter experts and that kind of thing. But as a committee, the standing committee comes up with this slate of nominees. We run it past the current chairs of the standing committees to make sure this fits their needs that they see for their committee. And then that's what we bring to the Faculty Senate. So I just wanted to make that process clear, that, you know, it's not a sort of backroom process. We try to take into account the faculty desires as far as what committees they serve on. Yes, thank you, Marianne. So there's two minor changes to this current ballot. 1 second, let me shrink it so you can see. Actually, it's going to be hard to display it on the entire screen, but again, this is on the Senate website. There are two corrections to this ballot. So Rebecca Stern, who is a nominee for the FAC committee from English, has withdrawn her name, so that is now a vacancy for one position on FAC. And the vacancy that I have indicated in red on the faculty appellate panel, I believe has been filled by, the nominee has been named Robert Mullen from engineering. And I think I have that right. Is Michael Stolzner's here? Yes, thank you. So that empty slot is actually Robert Mullen from College of Engineering and Computing for the faculty appellate panel. Other than that, it should be accurate. Basically, what will happen is if anyone has additional nominees they would like to name for these committees, we can do that at this time. If we do have, so right now, for most of the committees, the number of nominees equals the number of vacancies. So there's no contested election for any of the committees currently. If we do have additional nominees that go beyond the number of open vacancies, that will trigger a contested election. If we have a contested election for a committee, that will require us to then submit ballots to the faculty as a whole, and they will vote on that contested election. And so there's sort of a multi-week process to go through that. If we have a committee, for committees where there is not a contested election, that is the number of nominees equals the number of vacancies, then at the adjournment of today's meeting, that slate will be approved and those people will fill those vacancies. Okay. Okay. So are there any nominations for the one open slot on FAC or for any other committee vacancies? Oh, I can see the FAC is out there strong arming a potential candidate right now. Yes.
Bill Sudduth, current chair of FAC. I'd like to nominate Mark Manette.
Mark Manette, okay. Okay, so now this should represent our current slate. Every committee has a full slate. Does anyone want to nominate any further folks for any of the committees? Now, I should mention, I believe the manual specifies that any faculty member may nominate someone. You do not have to be a senator to nominate someone. Okay, well, with that, I'll leave these open until we adjourn, and which will be very soon. And then if there are no further nominees, these will be our slate for next year. Okay, is there anything for the good of the order? No. So before I adjourn, I'll just say you've all rewarded yourselves for the great work you did back in February. Getting the PTF, I had slated February and March meetings for dealing with PTF changes to the FM, but you got through that with flying colors in February, so your reward is a short meeting today. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting.